if plant behavior is what we are going to discuss, then there are very important things we need to understand. Plants are those creatures or creations of nature that have been on earth for millions of years. Even before the dinosaurs, they have been plants. So they've probably been the first thing that grew on this earth. Some kind of algae would have started and then it would have generated to some kind of a plant. Millions of years. So they have adapted over a period of time. They've gone through an ice age, they've gone through different kinds of changes, and if we believe that because there was because of a meteor, the dinosaurs died, the plants survived. So they've gone through a lot of adaptations. So this is going to affect the understanding of plant behavior. Plants are very much like us or any other creature on this earth, or any other creature, nature's creation on this earth, because their behavior changes according to mood, temperament, temperature, weather, climatic conditions, different things, just like us. Okay, if they don't get the right amount of light, they behave differently. If they don't get the right amount of food, they behave differently. So plant behavior is a very vast subject. Yet the beauty of it is the understanding is extremely simple. So now we are focusing on aquatic plants. We are not bothered about the others. We are focusing on aquatic plants. So if you consider aquatic plant behavior, then these plants, they have a common behavior across the board. Now, we discussed in our plants video that there are carpet plants, mid-ground plants, background plants, epiphytes, floating plants. We discussed all of that. These are the different varieties of plants or different areas where they grow. Now, I'm specifying areas. Hold on to this word. Before I get to the areas and why, we will discuss the common behaviors. So, plants, immaterial of where they grow, they have some common behaviors. First, all plants, immaterial of aquatic, non-aquatic, semi-aquatic, immaterial, they will all grow towards the light. They will grow towards the light. It's called phototropism, I think. That's the scientific word. Growing towards the light. So it just makes sense that the light is always on top because they grow towards the light. Again, because the sun is above us, they're all growing towards the light. Now, there have been many experiments where you have a plant in a house where this is the plant and this is a window and this side is darker. The plants will slowly bend towards the window because the light is coming from that window. Plants will always grow towards the light. Second, all plants need carbon dioxide to survive. Like how we need oxygen to survive, plants need carbon dioxide to survive. Plants are a crucial part of our survival, because if you take our survival, breathing is a very important part. Without breathing, you cannot survive. And to breathe, you need oxygen. And the oxygen is produced by the plant. So plants are an extremely crucial part of our survival. So again, millions of years, any animal that has come onto this earth has depended on plants to survive. So if you don't give enough carbon dioxide to the plants, then the plants will not generate enough oxygen and the ecosystem breaks down. Because oxygen is taken by all the fish, by the crustaceans, by any other creature living there, plus by the bacteria. All these creatures need oxygen to survive. And plants need carbon dioxide to generate oxygen. Photosynthesis. Now I'm not going to break up photosynthesis. That you already understand, and it's very important. So having CO2 is very important because that is the most common behavior. Another common behavior in plants is photosynthesis happens through the leaf. Now you can go technical with it. Again, it's too much to explain, and I'm sure already you know this. This is all 6th standard, 7th standard biology. So photosynthesis happens through the leaf, which is a common behavior across all plants. The next common behavior is they absorb nutrients from the root, whether it is an epiphyte, aerial root, or whether it is put into the soil, or whether it is floating. They all absorb nutrients either from the soil, from the water column, or from the air through the roots. Now this is a common behavior. Another common behavior is that roots act as an anchor for the plants so that they can hold themselves firmly in the soil. And importantly, roots will always grow downwards. Now, These things are not going to change. It's not up to you or me to make the plants change their natural behavior or instinct, because this is how nature has designed them and this is how they are going to be. So these are fixed behaviors. They're not going to change. Now, what will change? I'll tell you. Different kinds of plants are found in different areas of a river. There was a video I had made some time ago called the cross section of a river. For more detailed explanation or understanding better, watch that video, because it's going to be very, very helpful for all of you. Understanding where a plant grows in nature will help you understand how they will behave. Yes, certain plants will grow sideways, though that whole basic rule of growing towards the light is always there. Because there is ample amount of light, they will start growing sideways so that more leaves are available, more photosynthesis is happening. These are generally what you call carpet plants. Some of the names that you have in the hobby or even otherwise, gardening, all kinds of things, is based on the behavior of the plant. Aerial roots, because the root can take nutrition from the air, aerial roots, or moisture from the air, aerial roots. Submerged, because underwater. Immersed, above water. These are all behaviors. Semi-aquatic, matlab it can work in aquatic and non-aquatic conditions, behavior. So now this you have to understand that the area in which the plant grows defines its natural behavior or adapted behavior. For example, we'll start with a carpet plant. In nature, carpet plants grow on the bank of the river. So this is the river, it's going down, this is the bank, they will grow here. Where there is some water, so most carpet plants can grow above and underwater, right? Now here you have to understand that if there is no shade covering it, then they will grow better because there is ample amount of light. And of course, if there is ample amount of light and there is no shade, they will definitely grow better. But if there is a lot of shade, then they will go towards the light. Wherever there is more light, they will start growing in that area. In the shaded area, they will not grow. This is a behavior again, because they need more light. They are designed like that. All carpet plants need more light. So when you come to an aquarium, carpet plant, you need good light. If you don't have good light, if you have insufficient light, your carpet plant will not grow. If you have too much light, then also they will slow down, because there's ample amount of light. I don't need to spread and take more for growth, because I'm getting what I need. So I don't need to grow. I'm happy here. So they will be fine because they're healthy. They're getting everything they need. So an ideal lighting is very, very important. Now, when it comes to lighting, a lot of companies make standard light, like ADA and other companies. They make standard lights. They're already tested and tried everything. The light is good. You can use it for all kinds of plants. Super. There are other companies, mainly some of the Chinese ones, Chiros and other things, where they give you ranges. You can adjust 10%, 15%, 30%, 50%, 100%. You can adjust the intensity of the light. So that's another bonus for you, where you can adjust according to your situation. Now you can choose what you want to use, but carpet plants need high light. Now, I'm not going to tell you specifically so much lux and so much this one, because that is something that you have to figure out, because conditions will be different and these things will change. Okay, but ideally for a good carpet plant, 8500 Kelvin light with an intensity or a penetration of 2 feet is ideal. Don't get more into watts and all these things. Does the light penetrate for 2 feet depth? Matlab, if you have a light here, is it bright in the bottom of the tank? That's all you want to see. If that is there, then the light is fairly good. Then comes the Kelvin rating and the power of the light. So I have seen people growing carpet plants even with good quality LED tube lights also. So that's not an impossibility. You can still do that. Second, as the river goes downwards from the surface to a little to the down, this is where you will find your short plants, or what we call in the aquarium mid-ground plant. Most of these plants, Cryptogon species, Styrogaine species, Pogostemon species, Altananthera, these are all what mid-ground plants, of course, and semi-aquatic plants. Because in the dry season, when this water recedes, they will grow here or they will transform into a immersed growth form to take carbon dioxide from the air. As you go down, you will find taller plants. These are all background plants. You go further, you will actually find your Vallisneria, which are taller plants. So again, their standard behavior is grow towards the light. But yes, now adaptations. Besides these are all plants that you can put into the soil. You have the epiphytes. So in nature, you will find epiphytes in rainforests. Rainforests because tall trees, lot of canopy, very little light coming down onto the river or stream. And epiphytes will usually grow on the edge of the river. They will be attached to stone or wood naturally. And the rhizome and root can be in water. The leaves will be outside. This is their natural condition. Ferns, anubias, bucephalandra, all of them. Their base, where the rhizome and root is usually very, very moist, or there is water flowing over it, over the root and over the rhizome. So that's a natural requirement for them. Now, because these epiphytic plants grow in rainforests, they have adapted to growing in low light conditions. That does not mean they will not grow in high light conditions. If given good light, they will grow. Plants will grow towards the light. They need light to grow. They need light for photosynthesis. They will grow and they will grow fast. But in the hobby, it's put into our brain saying low light plant, low tech plant. These are all false. It is an adaptation. Okay, over many, many years where this particular plant has adapted to a rainforest condition where there is not enough light coming into that rainforest area. Very little light is coming onto the bottom of the floor of the forest, and they're able to absorb that amount of light and do photosynthesis, okay, and create oxygen and create glucose for themselves. And that is one of the reasons they're also known as slow growing. Now, most people who set up these low tech tanks, they have algae issues on the leaves. It's because they think, acha, low tech, low light, low CO2 or no CO2, no fertilizer or very little fertilizer. But these are all required because these plants, epiphytic plants, when the water flows over their roots and rhizome, okay, they are collecting nutrients from the water. And they're getting the nutrients they need to grow. So when you don't provide it, there is going to be an algae burst. There is going to be algae issues. Now, floating plants on the contrary, the roots are in the water. The leaf is always facing towards the light, or the area that has the chlorophyll and will conduct photosynthesis is always facing upwards. It can be a water lettuce like a lettuce on top, or it can be the Libnomium livigatum, African frog beds. Any of these floating plants, if you take, they are doing the same thing. Their roots can grow pretty long. Okay, even reach the bottom, and when given good light, they grow very, very fast, like duckweed. In a matter of a month, it will cover up your tank, fully covered, and it will stop light from going into the tank also. That's how dense it will become. The reason for that adaptation is because most of these plants are found in Amazon River and most of these small rivers where this becomes shelter for baby fish. Most fish eat it. Most mammals also eat it. Now, I'll give you an example. Water lettuce is an amazing plant to feed a cow, because if you're feeding water lettuce daily to the cow, then you'll get more milk. So what was nature's design here? There are some amazing mammals that live in the water, hippopotamus, manatees, and these are all feeding milk to their babies. So there needed to be something for them to increase that milk production. See, nature's design is amazing. Every plant, everything is designed to work for another creature. It's a symbiotic relationship. Okay, everything is interconnected. So that's with the floating plant. So that's the adaptation. Now, going back to behaviors. Now, there are some adapted behaviors for all these plants. Different adaptation. Will an epiphyte grow in soil? If you put the root in soil, will it die? No. But if you put the rhizome in soil, the plant will die. But if the root touches the soil, you'll actually get a little better growth. Can a carpet plant grow without soil? Yes. Carpet plant growing without soil. Carpet plants, there are varieties. Okay, and I'm saying carpet plant because again, there is a kind of a stem or a creeper of sorts. So, Monte Carlo grows downwards, Glossostigma grows upwards. These are natural adaptations. This has nothing to do with you and me. It is to do with the place or the location they are found naturally, because that's what they need to do in that place. Cryptocorn, mainly soil. But there is an adaptation of cryptocorn. When the water recedes or increases, the whole leaf starts melting. It does not transform the leaf. It creates new leaves. So the underwater leaf will just fall off or dry out in summer and new leaves will come. Or when the water increases in rainy season, the summer wala leaves will fall off or melt and new leaves will come. This is an adaptation by cryptocorns. But other stem plants, rotalas and other thing, you will also see the transformation of the leaf. Again, old leaf will fall off or new leaves will come out transformed. Okay, but the stem and root don't change or they don't melt out. Now, when you say stem plant and cryptocorn is something called a rosette, where the root and the stem come out from the same junction. There is no actual stem junction, or the root and the leaf come out from the same junction. Echinodorus species, okay, Cryptocorn species, these are all rosette plants. Stem plants, there is an actual stem that comes up and leaves coming out. Certain stem plants have adapted to grow roots in all their nodal joints. So where there is a stem and there is a leaf, this is called a nodal joint. You will have roots coming out from there also. Rotala HRA is famous for this. If you use Rotala HRA, so at some point the stem, because of all those extra roots, will bend down and it will start creeping on the soil. Probably an adaptation of survival to grow or move to other places, can be anything. Okay, but this is something that it will do. Now, if you understand that adaptation, if you take a stem of Rotala HRA that has these roots and tie it to a piece of wood, you can actually make it grow on the wood, because that roots will actually start growing downwards and take nutrition from the water column, and still they will grow beautifully. Because this is a natural adaptation, you have to understand how to use it. Now, it is understood that certain plants like Heteranthera zostrifolia, Vallisneria, okay, Vallisneria, I think the technical term is called allelopathy, where a plant like Vallisneria can actually counter algae. So if you have a lot of algae and you put Vallisneria in your tank, Vallisneria, because it grows very fast, takes nutrition very fast, it will reduce the amount of nutrition available for the algae, and the algae resides. Heteranthera zostrifolia is more into chemical warfare. Actually, what Vallisneria does also is similar, but this one releases an enzyme which does not allow other plants to grow taller than it. These are adaptations. Now, there are so many of these adaptations and behaviors that are different to different plants. It takes time to understand. One of the most popular questions that is asked is, why red plants become red? In simple terms, they're actually blushing. Now, suppose you take a really fair looking person into the sun, they become red. Okay, because of the intense light. Now, similarly, in plants, the high intensity of light makes them turn red. This is also a mechanism where they safeguard the leaves below from that intense light. So, this adaptation has happened because of they are in regions where the light or intensity of the light is very high. So, all these adaptations are different behaviors of the plant. Also, there are some bulbous plants. Okay, mainly the Apanogeton species, Apanogeton ulvaceus, Apanogeton madagascarensis, and so on and so forth. Again, they are a bulb, their whole storage or energy storage is in that bulb, it's like a potato, and they grow underwater, mainly they are aquatic plants, fully aquatic plants. And because they are fully aquatic plants, what happens is they grow flowers. The flowers disperse the seeds and they generate or they move to other locations for propagation, because all animals propagate or all creatures propagate. And when the water recedes in summer, the leaves fall off and the bulb is there under the soil, okay, safe. When the water comes back, the bulb regenerates and another leaf comes out. So these are again behaviors or adaptations or whatever you want to call it. See, besides all these aquatic plants, there is moss. Moss, I don't think has changed in many years. It's very simple. As long as the surface is moist, the moss will grow. Certain mosses are completely aquatic, certain mosses are semi-aquatic or completely terrestrial. Now, there is a large differentiation between all of this. Let's not get into detail. But moss is something that is in an aquascape needs to be used as a filler where you think you need some color, and always trim to the base. If this is the wood, then very little moss should be there and it should be trimmed and maintained, because otherwise it can grow wild and it can take over areas where you don't want it to be. Moss is very much like algae. Very little nutrition, no nutrition, sometimes hardly any light, they will grow. They need very little light, very little nutrition. So when you are using moss in an aquascape, be sure of this. Okay, so when you give them good amount of light, good amount of nutrition, they will just overload themselves onto the aquarium and they will grow super fast. Okay, and you don't want that to happen. So I cannot go detail into all the plants, but understand that behavior there are fixed behaviors which cannot be changed, and there are adaptational behaviors which may change over a period of time, over location. Okay, because here we have some very standard measurements. Everything is completely standardized. We have a standard temperature, we have a standard water condition, we have the right kind of fertilizer, light or standard light timing, no fluctuations. So they may adapt to their new surroundings or new condition. Especially when you buy tissue culture plants or something, they have been adapted or there has been some modification at a DNA level. The tissue culture cups that you see, they look immersed because they're out of water, they're not in water, they're in gel. But the forms, sometimes the leaf forms look submerged. So these are adaptations that have been done, again, human intervention. So they may react differently in an aquarium, but their natural instinct is always going to be there. So this comes back to the same old formula where you have to take the time to learn the plants that you're going to use, right? Once you understand how they behave, how they react to things, you will automatically understand how they are going to act in your aquarium or ecosystem. And will they work for your aquascape is something you will understand. This will also help you in deciding what kind of plants to have in your aquascape, correct? So when you decide, or if you think that, okay, this plant looks good in my aquarium, go back and do some homework, review, see who has used it, how they're using it, how it is growing, what does it do, what are its behaviors, how has it adapted, what is going to do if this happens or that happens. Then you'll understand that your whole aquascape is going to work to your benefit, right? So this was a brief, very, very brief about plant behavior and plant adaptations or adaptational behaviors. I hope this was interesting. And of course, there are more interesting topics that we will be discussing in our membership. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.